We will start with, who are we going to start with? Birthday girl?
No.
Yeah. It's Heather's birthday. We'll get started with Heather.
I'm really gonna do this.
I am, ma'am. Happy birthday. Thank you for spending your birthday with us.
Thank you.
And then we'll just go down the line.
Okay, so first we have to say how long we've been here.
Your name,
Okay.
how long you've been resident, your occupation.
And I have a speech.
Okay, go for it. 2
All right.
minutes though.
Well, actually, I've been here for 21 years. I married a St. Mary's County kid, man now, and said I would never live over that bridge, and here I am 21 years later, and I haven't looked back. So I'm Heather Earhart, and it has been an honor to serve this community for many years. I spent 15 years on the Leonardtown Planning and Zoning Commission, and for nearly 4 years now, I've proudly served on the town council. And during that time, I've been involved with initiatives like our facade grant program and the comprehensive plan committee. And I'm still hoping to get that invitation to the sustainability committee, wink, wink, Lachelle, wherever you are. Beyond Leonardtown, I've served on the engagement and legislative committees for the Maryland Municipal League. I'm also a graduate of Leadership Southern Maryland, class of 2021. I think there's a few of us here. And a recent graduate of the University of Maryland's Academy for Excellence in Local Governance. Through these experiences, I've studied topics like ethics, municipal budgeting, housing, mental health, and building strong collaborative teams, because good governance starts with informed, thoughtful leadership. What drives me is simple. I believe in supporting a sustaining, forward-thinking community and in meeting challenges with kindness and respect. One of the greatest joys of serving has been watching our town come together. Neighbors helping neighbors, learning each other's stories, and sharing something as simple as meaningful as a wave or a smile. As Margaret Mead once said, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. That's what I see in Leonardtown every day. This community is truly special, and it's a privilege to continue serving you. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to this evening, and happy birthday to me.
Well, how do you follow that up? So, hi, I'm Kirsty Hollander. I have served on the Leonardtown Council for 8 years. Previously, I was with Heather on the Planning and Zoning Board. I'm not sure how long. I'm a graduate of the University of Maryland with a degree in civil engineering, and I have a master's degree in project management. I've also in my class of LSM, class of 2019, best class ever. And I currently work at Metcom. I've been there for 17 years, and I head up the engineering department. So we do handle all review of development and all of our capital projects. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mary Slade. I have served on the town council for the past 8 years as the only council member who runs her own business, Bookkeeping by Blanche. I have a unique perspective on what can benefit the small businesses we're supporting in this town. I'm very proud that I was able to establish and present the ordinance to give the volunteer rescue and fire departments a break on their property taxes. I was also able to find an old ordinance that charged 10% amusement tax and was able to have that repealed, so no amusement tax is charged in Leonardtown. I brought the ping pong table, the chess table to the wharf, and had a local scout make picnic tables for her Eagle project at no cost to the town. We're at a critical place in Leonardtown, and I suspect we're going to have some staffing changes at the town office in the next couple of years. I want to see the path that we've started continue, and I want to focus on some key items in the town, including parking, keeping a safe, walkable community, and making sure we have smart growth that keeps the small town charm we all love about Leonardtown.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ken Eld, owner of the Slice House with my wife and my son. We've been here in St. Mary's County for 8 years now. This is certainly our home. We also live down at the wharf, so we are entrenched in the community with a business as well as living down here. I wrote a really, really great speech, and I practiced it, and I knew exactly what I was going to do. And then today, I made the mistake, and I went back, and I watched 2 years ago my failed mayoral format or whatever, and I learned from that one thing. I was way too nice. I mean, I was so complimentary of Dan and everyone else that, my gosh, I'm surprised I didn't vote for him. being funny. All kidding aside, but what I did learn from going back and looking at that is a couple of very, very key items came up, which are also things that are very, very important to me. One of them was Tudor Hall. We really, really need to get our hands, because so much of what is, I don't want to use the word, the business is great, the community is doing great. So a lot of the decisions I feel like we're making right now are based on Tudor Hall's coming. That was 2 years ago, there hasn't been any more activity. I want to learn more about what truly is going to happen with Tudor Hall, but more importantly, when. The second thing that came up was the ice house at the wharf. That was 2 years ago. Clearly, there's nobody that's going to go ahead and spend a couple $1 million for the ice house at the wharf. So let's take the next step and let's clean up what's there and fix the parking at the wharf. Lastly, and most important, we need to have a comprehensive plan for parking tomorrow. There's no way that we're going to wait for a parking garage or whatever. We have to figure out what we have, and we need to do it now. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Rodney Flowers, and I'm a country boy with a dream that was shattered. When I was 15 years old, I suffered a spinal cord injury that rendered me paralyzed from the neck down. I lived in a small town, about the size of this, and then I learned how to walk again. And it was because of that town and the people of that town that got behind me, believed in me, and believed in a dream that I'm able to be here with you today. I come from North Carolina. I was recruited out of college by the Navy. I spent the last 25 years in this county serving the Navy as an acquisition professor. The last 5 years, I was a strategic facilitator and complex problem solver. So the reason why I'm sitting here before you today is because of the people of a town that I come from. And I love this town because of the people in this town. And I'm sitting here today not to say that there's problems in this town, but because I see the potential in this town. And I see the future in this town. And I want to be someone that can represent the people in this town. The dreams, the goals of the children, of the citizens, of the residents that are here. I'm here to represent them. I'm not here to call out any problems, but I am here to listen. To listen to what do we do in Leonardtown to fortify our future. That's why I'm here. And I am glad to be sitting next to this wonderful panel, but more importantly, I'm here to serve. And that's the most important thing for me. There's three things that I'm really passionate about. That's structure, safety, and sovereignty. And I hope we can discuss that further. Thank you.
We will ask each candidate the same question. Again, 2 minutes. After a minute 30, yellow card goes up, and then at 2 minutes, red card, and you guys need to stop. We will do it random, and whoever gets the question asked, we're just going to go to the right, and then we'll go back around. So that way it's always just going the same flow. Okay?
So for our first question, we're going to start with Ken. And Ken, the question is, what is the role of the town council?
From what my understanding, the role of the town council is to approve the ideas that are brought in front of them. So obviously, there's a lot of moving parts in the town. The mayor is our CEO. The mayor oversees what goes on in the town. And then when ideas come to us, whether it be construction, whether it be signage, whether it be parking or whatever, it comes to the town council. And my understanding is that we talk about it and we vote about it, and we're the final decision on whether something goes through or gets denied.
Thank you, Ken. Mary?
Okay.
This way?
Yeah. Well, to our right, sorry, your left. You're right, Mary, yep.
Okay, you're right. The role of the town council is we are the governing body. We work in tandem with the mayor. He, like you said, is the CEO of the town, but we're the ones that make all the decisions. He doesn't actually have a voting privilege. And yeah, I mean, our job is to keep this town running, keep it, looking, I tell everybody, we wanna be good neighbors. Like, this is a nice community. We wanna be friends. We wanna be able to, look out for what the best is for the community. There aren't things that we can do that are so big. Like, I tell everybody, it's, government, it's a big rudder to turn. We can't go in the first day and go, tell you what, we're gonna change all the laws. We're gonna rewrite all of this. It takes a while. There's open meetings, open forums, there's lots of things that have to happen to get the government to go somewhere. But I think what we on the council are always trying to do is look out for what's the best of our town. I live here, I live in town, we all do. I walk these streets every day with my dog. Everybody sees me. I got a little blind Boston Terrier and then another dog that has to ride in a stroller. So that's what happens when your kids go to college and they're pushing a dog in a stroller. And, I worry about the safety of the streets. I worry about, looking out for, are the back lots, are they well lit? There's been times when I've been walking the dogs and I'm standing in the middle of an intersection and people are just passing me on both sides. Are we looking out for the safety of the pedestrians? Those are the kinds of things that I think we as the council are looking out for.
Thank you, Mary.
So I believe our role is to present a budget that spends tax money responsibly, that gets everybody to a place where they need to be. We approve spending. Anything over a certain amount requires board approval. We're responsible for spending the money, again, responsibly to make sure that we're not wastefully spending money, that we're using it to better the community. We're also very much responsible for the infrastructure, including water, sewer, roads, parks, things that the community can use, and keeping the community safe.
Can I just say what Christy said? No. No, as town council, I've come to learn a lot in the past few years. So we are, like Christy said, responsible stewards of tax dollars, ensuring that every dollar spent is a dollar spent wisely, right? We've been really successful in not having to raise our taxes on our Leonardtown residents. We've pretty much stayed flat and have been able to plan around that. Just also being, a member of the planning and zoning for so long too, and learning, how to review the current and the future plans of Leonardtown and making sure that our growth is smart. As part of the comprehensive plan committee, there's been a lot of things that I put in and had added to our comprehensive plan that will make our traffic and our parking better. Those are two definite of my top 5 kind of aggravations for being a community member in this town. We are the governing body, like we said, and another thing that's really important is that we work and collaborate with our town administrator. So, Michelle McKay has done a phenomenal job really growing Leonardtown to the successful place that it is today, and just really matching her vision and working with her to better our community. We see where we can do better. And like Mary said, we'd like to make our streets safer, make it safer for our pedestrians, and also driving as well. So that's how I see our town.
Thank you.
So the role of the council, I agree with everything that's been said here. But what hasn't been said is listening. I think we are a liaison and a conduit for the residents of the town. Now I understand that there's a lot that we can't do, but what we can do is what we need to focus on. And what we can do is listen, and we can relay those concerns to those that need to hear it. And I get that there's gonna be barriers, constraints, and restrictions, and all the things that you can and can't do. But I think it's the council's job to figure that out. And the things that we can't do, we're transparent with the residents and make sure they understand what's being done, what can't be done, and why it can't be done, right? So I think that, again, I agree with everything that's been said here, so I don't need to repeat it, but that's the additional role I feel that I would like to highlight as a councilman for this town.
Thank you. The next question, we're going to start with Rodney.
Mix it up.
It's on our codes down here.
And the question is, do you see yourself continuing or changing the trajectory of the town?
That's a great question. I think it's a little bit of both. Again, like I said, I don't feel like the town is going in a bad direction, so I don't want to change that. However, you know, just from walking the town and meeting the residents, there are some concerns. And so my position would be, you know, making sure that those concerns are heard. And based on listening to those concerns and synthesizing those concerns, making sure we're making the best decisions that's going to serve the residents of the town. And if that means that we need to change direction, well, I think we would need to determine what that means based on those concerns and what's available to us. So again, you know, I've stated in my campaign, I'm not here to change the town. I'm here to fortify the town. And I think the voice that needs to be heard in that fortification is the residents. And so that's what I'm here to do. It's really about the residents. I mean, the town is growing. It's a great town. You know, I don't have any negativity to say about the town. However, just the strategic facilitator in me, the strategic planner in me, just want to make sure that as we go forward with more growth, more residents coming in, more businesses coming in, the infrastructure, you know, make sure that we're doing that smartly, diversity, perspective, getting away from some of the traditional ways of doing things and allowing fresh, new, innovative perspectives to come in. You know, one of my focuses as a councilman is just bringing up the idea of, you know, partnering with the innovation district, right? We have USMSM right around the corner here, and they're really big in research. And so what can we learn from them? What research has been done that we can use to fortify our town? So that's my level of thinking and perspective that I'm bringing to the council.
Thank you, Roger. So moving forward, oh, I'm sorry, Ken.
Same question?
Yep, same
Yes.
question.
So if you've been to Leonardtown on a Friday or Saturday night, which I don't do anymore, I don't leave the work, you can't deny just how successful the town is right now. I said it before, I was joking around earlier, about 2 years ago, I talked about how successful the town has been, considering when you talk to where it was and where it is today. Now we have to deal with the success. We're almost too busy. We're almost too crowded. We almost have too many people in town. We're compromising the safety of our residents because we're so busy. How we deal with that is how we move forward. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it certainly needs to be addressed.
Thank you, Ken. Mary?
10 years ago, I had a friend tell me, I love Leonardtown. I never go there. You know, anytime he had people come in to visit, he always took them over to Solomon's. And now here we are, and I have people tell me all the time, Leonardtown's fantastic. And it is. I mean, I think we actually rivaled the Tiki Bar opening with our own bar crawl here in Leonardtown. You know, people put this is now a destination for people, which is fabulous. And keeping our businesses thriving is what's good for the residents of Leonardtown. You know, if we have a good business structure downtown, that's good for our property tax values. That's good for the revenue into Leonardtown. That's going to be good for all the residents. So we need to be able to keep continuing to support our small businesses and help Leonardtown grow in that direction.
Thank you, Mary. Christy?
Thank you. So I would love to see and continue the implementation of all of our plans that we've recently updated. We recently just updated the comp plan. That was a big undertaking, a lot of staff input, a lot of input from the community, a lot of outreach. We got a good plan to move forward. We've also recently updated our downtown plan and our wharf plan. Again, all those had public hearings, public meetings. We had a lot of input from businesses, homeowners, people from outside of town, consultants. We put a lot of work into all those plans and make sure that those move forward. That helps us control our growth and make sure we're doing what we plan to do and what the community wants to see. I'm also excited about the Tudor Hall Farm plan. That's part of our big comp plan, so that'll be exciting to see that move forward along with all the improvements down at the wharf. So I'm excited.
Thank you, Christy. Heather, you get to go last this time.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to strengthening our trajectory. So as part of the comprehensive plan, committee. I help to work with Michelle and the rest of our committee as well with all of our community members at all of the public hearings to hear their input and to be able to really add that into the comprehensive plan as well. I'm excited to see how we are growing. So the next 10 years of Leonardtown, we're gonna grow, but we're gonna grow smart, I hope. That's what we're working towards. You know, to Ken's point too, you know, it is hard to come out on the weekends here. And I know that just recently in December, Todd and I were driving through Leonardtown, and a couple of occasions people were crossing the street, you know, not where there was a crosswalk, but from front porch parking lot to the pub, and it was a close call a couple of times. And in our budget request, which we're so thankful to have, I have asked, and Michelle is working to make a crosswalk for folks. So really seeing what's happening in our town and being able to add value there to make our community safer is very important to me, and I look forward to doing that all around our town. So thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Next question, we're going to start with Mary. So, Mary, the question is this: what are your top 3 priorities for the town over the next few years?
Well, that's easy. Parking. Parking is absolutely the number 1 priority for Leonardtown. You know, and I tell everybody, we did all the plans, we did all the research. There is a lot of parking in Leonardtown as long as it's 70 degrees and not raining. If it's cold, if it's super hot, if you're wearing heels, if your mom has a bad back, it is not an easy place to get around Leonardtown. So I think parking is going to be our number 1 priority. The second one is going to be safety. That's the one that I'm concerned about most, is that with all this increased traffic, you know, we need to make it so these streets are safe. I want to make sure that these people, when they're coming out of these bars late at night, that they're not going into a dark parking lot. We need the parking lot lit. My budget request and one of the things we're working on is trying to get more lights in the parking lot here, back behind the Rex, so that people feel comfortable walking out of the square, walking down this alleyway, and being able to park in the back. And then the third thing is definitely the growth. I mean, we've got a lot of growth that's going on, but we have to make sure it's smart. We have to make sure that it fits in with the community and fits in with the downtown plan that we have. You know, we can't just arbitrarily be throwing crazy buildings in the middle of residential areas. We have to look at the community as a whole and how it's all gonna fit in.
Thank you, Mary. We're going to
Which way
continue
now?
to your left, to Chris.
My left, thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna probably we're probably all gonna say the same things, but parking is, I think, number 1 on most people's lists. It involves safety and growth. With the more growth, we need more parking. And with that growth, hopefully comes more parking lots. We recently bought the lot down at the wharf to create new parking down there. We will be redoing the parking lot that exists there, hopefully with a grant on the other side, so that'll open up some more parking down that area. So that's a top priority. I think that's probably going to be a top priority for most of us. Tudor Hall and growth, again, is huge. If town stops growing, bad things happen, and we need growth to keep up our roads, to keep up our sewer treatment plant, to keep paying for the new water towers and things like that. So we need to see growth occur, but we need to do it in a smart manner, following our plans that we've put in place. And then I think, as everyone else, just safety, keeping our community and our kids safe, keeping people out of people's cars. We've had a lot of break-ins in cars and things like that. So hopefully upping our safety and getting that under control. Thank you.
Thank you, Christy. Heather?
Somewhat similar. The only thing I would really add to is Route 5 traffic. I live in Academy Hills, and at 5 o'clock to try to make a left out of our neighborhood to get our kid to whatever activity they're going to is atrocious. So in our comprehensive plan, we have included 2 roundabouts. I know that the Riken intersection is very dangerous. We've got a lot of kids leaving from Riken and coming up Fenwick. So we've put in a plan to put a roundabout there. One of my neighbors was actually the one who suggested it, and I thought it was a fantastic idea. And when we added that into the comprehensive plan, the other idea was to add one at Budds Creek Road. So it's almost like you'll have a slowing point coming in on both sides of Leonardtown, which I really appreciate. Parking is another big one. Anytime I hear that somebody's come to dinner in Leonardtown or just come to Leonardtown, my first question is, where'd you park? Because I want to know. I want to know the struggles that they're having when they come to our town with parking and handicap parking. You know, I recently lost my father and came to really understand what it's like to have somebody who's handicapped, that you're getting out of a car with a walker or a wheelchair. It is not easy. So parking is a really big thing for me. I know that Governor Westmore just signed our grant that we'll receive for developing our parking lot down at the wharf, so I'm really excited about that, and I think it will help. Another thing I'm looking for with our parking is employee parking. So designated employee areas, especially during our surge time from like Thursdays to Sundays. I brought this up to Lachelle recently. And with our new golf cart that we purchased, as well as the 2 Ocean City trams, hopefully that will help. And the last are the speed cameras. So I'm looking forward to hopefully implementing some speed cameras in the future to help with trolleys.
Thank you, Heather. Just under the wire.
I had more.
Rodney, you're welcome. So I realize there's some plans in place already in terms of priorities. I'm not gonna give you my top priorities. I'm gonna give you what the residents that I've spoken to, and I've hit over 1,000 houses already, just knocking on doors. And so the first one is safety, but I'm gonna be specific about that. So there's concerns about certain types of activity going on at the wharf. There's folks that don't feel safe walking at the wharf at night. There's talk about homeless people being in the bathrooms at the wharf. So safety, safety, safety. Bringing more lighting to the parking lot. I know there's projects, you know, to build a parking lot, but making sure we have the necessary lighting. There's women running in the town at night. I see that myself. So making sure that the town is lit, even more lit than what it is, so that they feel safe and that they are safe. So my approach is really a proactive approach. Nothing has happened drastic yet, right? But more people are coming to the town. So I think we need to think about what we need to do before something happens, right? To prevent something from happening. Next is structure, right? I mean, that's where the parking comes in. Again, I think we're doing some good things and they are reactive. My approach is for us to be more proactive, right? And so making sure that we're putting in the infrastructure beforehand, right? So we know we want to grow. We know that's a priority. So thinking about what do we need to put in place now, right, to support that growth, so we're not proactively, so we're not reacting to fix those things. Then the last is this sovereignty. So if we're going to grow, we're going to need business. We're going to need business. So we need business, we need streamlined processes to make, when business come to this area, it's easy for them to come. It's not a headache and it's not a delay, right? So what type of streamlining or single point of contact, what type of processes we need to put in place to make sure that goes smooth? Thank you.
Thank you, Rodney. Ken?
I want you to read the question back to me, and there's a reason for it.
What are your top 3 priorities for the town over the next few years?
Okay, and so the word that I want to change is few years. The problem is so much of what we're doing is few years. I'm talking about weeks. We need to get on some of this stuff tomorrow. And that's one of the things where I want, if I get elected, that I want to create urgency in some of these things that we need to do. The parking, we can beat that dead horse. The condition of the wharf, the safety and stuff. But this is stuff that we need to address now. And somebody just mentioned, one of the council members, current council members mentioned that there's a new plan for the wharf. I'd love to hear it. I think I try to stay dialed in with what's going on and watching some of the videos if I can't go to the meetings. When are we going to have a public hearing on what the new plans are? We need to do a better job of communicating. Thanks.
Thank you, Ken.
Am I the last one that has a
So Christy, yes, we're gonna start with you. Needs more affordable housing, and if yes, how can we help resolve that issue?
I think the whole county needs more affordable housing. I don't think that's just a town issue. It's hard to figure out how to reduce the price because a lot of it's dependent on cost of materials, cost of the infrastructure to put in to serve those homes. But what we can do on our level is try to keep our fees down. I think that's part of why we're opposed to the excise tax. All that's gonna do is increase the cost of homes in our area. When we're already providing the roads, the Parks and Rec, the water and sewer for those homes. So that's something we can do on our level is to try to keep fees down, taxes down. Materials are gonna be what the materials are. We're also looking to update our zoning ordinance to see if there's anything we can do there to try to reduce costs. The problem with doing that is when you reduce costs in the zoning ordinance, so say you don't need to put sidewalks in, well then you don't have sidewalks for people to use. So there is infrastructure that needs to go in order to serve the community, but on our town level, I think reducing fees and trying to keep fees as low as possible is what we can do on our end.
Thank you, Christie.
Thank you.
Heather.
I am all for affordable housing, and what's somewhat distressing to me is that we have helped to create affordable housing in Leonardtown. We have the small houses that are off of Lawrence. However, but because of the material costs, they're $3,200 a month. That is not affordable. That is more than my own mortgage, and you're living in a, quote, small house. We're working with the builders presently. Quality Built Homes is a big one that's putting apartments in the new town. That is a town run that's going off by Bradford's off of 245. So I'm really looking forward to that, and that will be helpful, I think, for a lot of our younger, workforce coming in. However, if you talk to our builders, like Rodney Gertz, who has Quality Built Homes, he explained to me that a simple connector for pipes for our infrastructure, to connect the housing to our infrastructure, before COVID cost $1,000. When COVID happened, it went up to $8,000. This is a connector pipe. Now, with COVID ending, it costs $4,000. So while we can't have impact there, and like to Christie's point, we can help our builders and be good stewards and help them with just planning better for our community. We don't want to add the excise tax to them. They already are paying an impact fee to our town, and adding the excise tax only hurts them and future homeowners. So I think really looking at different housing opportunities, it's in our comprehensive plan as well, for seniors and for our younger generation, our younger workforce, is what is going to help us be successful in strengthening our affordable housing.
Thank you, Heather.
Yeah, I agree with everything that's been said, and I think maybe looking at the data, where are the demands coming from in terms of people moving to the town? If it's young professionals, maybe that's where we start with the partnering with the builders. We probably can't do it all at once, so I think we need to understand where those demands are coming from in terms of housing, and build those relationships with the builders, work with them as best we can to fix that problem.
Thank you, Rodney.
It's definitely a supply versus demand problem, and unfortunately, I don't see the demand outpacing the supply anytime soon. So as much as I would love to, see more affordable housing for the kids or to buy into and stuff, I don't see it happening.
National problem.
Yeah, I think I would say it is a national problem. It's not something that is just Leonardtown's problem that we have. And we've done a good job with some of the new subdivisions that are coming in, of putting in apartments. There actually is quite a few places where there is going to be affordable housing, not the quote unquote, what does affordable mean? And I think that's always the issue. But, trying to do our best to keep expenses down and not have the builders pay so much, so that they have to up the prices of the homes. And we're gonna see, I think we're gonna see a correction in the market here at some point. But if I have 4 crystal balls in my office and none of them work. So I don't know when that's gonna happen. I don't know when that's gonna happen, but I do think, we're gonna start to see some of that, but that is not just a Leonardtown problem for sure.
Thank you, Mary. So we're gonna go to Heather. As the mic moves your way, Heather. Now that the public art plan has been adopted, how will you help implement it? And what do you think are the top priorities?
Is this Susie's question?
I don't get who submitted the questions. I just get the question.
I will tell you, I'm so excited about our present art plan. I was really excited when we were able to get the grant to develop the art plan. I'm looking forward to working with our local artists again, like we did for our alley, our L-Town Alley mural as well, and really coming up with a way that makes all of our murals complement one another. I'm also very excited about our crosswalks. So, decorating our crosswalks. When I was in Maine a few years ago, I noticed that in all of the crosswalks, they were a little different and decorated, and some of them were rainbow flags, some of them I'm hoping we can put crabs and things like that. So I'm really looking forward to adding that piece of art, because I think that is why people also come to Leonardtown. I mean, our art is what draws people in, and they are able to kind of walk around our community, see the art, and really enjoy, being a part of this small community. So I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah.
Thank you, Heather.
Yeah, I think this is a great idea and a wonderful opportunity. We have 3 large nursing homes in the area. So I think this is a great opportunity to get the residents of those nursing homes, the ones that can, out on the town to see something like that, right? I think we can take more opportunities to get them out, witness that art, have those conversations with each other. I just think that's a wonderful opportunity for the town to take advantage of getting the residents out of the facilities and on the town.
Thank you, Rodney. Ken?
I have 2 beautiful blank canvases on the left-hand side and the right-hand side of the Slice House. Anybody want to come paint? Come paint.
Thanks, Ken.
With the public art plan adoption, I'd like to see a lot more support from local artists. I love my local artists, and they always come up with some really fun, great ideas, so I'm hoping that they'll be able to bring some stuff to Leonardtown. I'd like to see interactive projects, things where you can touch, you can look at, you can walk. I mean, the murals are nice, but I'd like to see something that, we can use. We can use to make music, we can use to do something else to be a little more interactive. I just saw today the signs I happen to be in the town office for the butterfly trail, that's coming. We've been working on that for 2 years. Let's give people a reason to walk around Leonardtown. Let's give them something to look at, something to touch, something to enjoy while they're here, getting their exercise, getting their dogs out, and having a good time.
Thank you, Mary. Christy?
Thank you. So art is kind of what, at least in my mind, when you go visit a town, hey, that's the town with the cool statue, or the cool game to play, or, it brings you back to the place or the feeling that you had when you went to visit that town. And I think that's what we were going for with the art plan. So I'm excited to see that implemented. Totally support grant funding for as much grant money as we can get to help support the artists in putting those art installations, I'll call them, up, because it's not cheap. And I think as a town, we can help provide spaces for that art to go, so the winery in town, and also working with the businesses and possibly even the schools to find places to put art where the kids can see it, where people that can't get out can see it, stuff like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Christy. All right. So, this one everyone's gonna have to pay attention to, because it's a little longer. So, there has been significant legal debate regarding the Board of County Commissioners' decision to extend the building excise tax to Leonardtown. The town's legal counsel argues that the BOCC lacks the authority to do this without state intervention, while the county maintains it is a necessary step for regional equity. Where do you stand on this jurisdictional dispute? If elected, Ken, would you uphold the town's current refusal to collect the tax or do you believe the town should comply with the county's new ordinance?
Wow. To be quite honest with you, I don't know enough about it, and to make an intelligent comment about it, I need to do some research on it, but I do have confidence that the decision that the town has made is the right one and one that we should support.
Thank you, Karen. Mary?
Okay, so here's what I'll say. We're not gonna break the law. If there was a law that said that we had to collect the tax, we would collect the tax. However, the county commissioners do not have the right to enforce a law on us, the town of Leonardtown. And that would be the same as if I got a wild hair and decided that I wanted to tax Charles County and say, oh, I'm gonna start taxing Charles County because their people drive on our roads. Well, I don't have the right to do that. I don't have the permission to do that. When this was originally addressed by the county commissioners, when they changed it to the excise tax, they sent it up to Annapolis, and the legislators are the ones that actually enacted the law. And the legislators did not include Leonardtown. And when they were asked, they were told, we intentionally did not include Leonardtown. So at this point, I feel very strongly that we are not going to be collecting the tax. And we don't feel it's fair either. We have looked at, the fact that the county collects an impact fee, and we do not need to collect that, or they don't need to collect it from us because we're paying for our own streets. We're paying for our own sewage treatment plant. The only thing we are not paying for is the schools. And we feel very strongly that we already have an ordinance that we're putting out there that we are going to start collecting an impact fee for the schools. My children go to public school here in St. Mary's County, and I do feel that we need to support the school system. And that's something that the council has agreed to do, so we do want to support the schools.
Thank you, Mary. Christie?
I agree with Mary 100%. Trying to think where my brain was going. So just as like the affordable housing, I mean, it's just something that's gonna tack onto the price of homes. It's not gonna be eaten by the owner or the builder. It's gonna be passed on to the homeowners and the businesses. I mean, this will have a huge impact on businesses. It may cause businesses to not even be able to open. So I also think that it's the town residents and town property owners already pay for the road safety school, or not schools yet, but we're working on the schools and parks. So this would kind of be a double tax, we'll call it, on town residents. We don't charge the county to come in, county people to come in and use our roads, our parks. We share. It should be more of a sharing opportunity versus, things being passed down. That's how I see it.
Thank you. Heather?
Agree with Mary and Christie. So our excise tax is the excise tax is a negative for our small businesses, and it's already hard enough for our small businesses to sustain and keep their businesses open. It would only hurt them. It lacks the authority, so we are in line with what we have decided together as a town council. We are standing strong and believe that this is not right to be pushing this on to us. I attended the public hearing and only heard everybody come out against the excise tax only to have our county commissioners vote for the excise tax. Excuse me, and as an advocate for our public schools, so I have 2 children still going through the public schools. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to send our impact fees to the public schools directly. So since the excise tax passed, that's been something that I know that Lachelle has brought up to the school board. I have seen Superintendent Scott Smith on several occasions and talked to him about the same and wanting to send our impact fees to our local schools to help strengthen them. It is very important for us to support our schools. We are contributing to the school population, especially here in Leonardtown, and being able to take care of our teachers and our schools and their infrastructure is very important to me. So, yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Staying strong.
Yeah, I too agree, it's the double tax, and if there was a price, we would going to pay or agree to pay, it should be prorated, based on the schools. We've already, the citizens of Leonardtown have already paid a tax for the roads and things like that, so I don't think it's fair, I don't think it's right to be double taxed.
Thank you, Rod. And Mary, the question is, what is your stance on the current regulations for outdoor seating in the downtown area?
The outdoor seating has been very popular. We did it during COVID to help a lot of small businesses, and you guys have to remember, when COVID happened, which, can you believe that was 6 years ago already? A lot of these restaurants weren't gonna make it. They were not gonna survive. They were not gonna survive COVID. And so we did a lot of that, we opened up a lot of the outdoor seating at that point to help them get through COVID. And they've done very well. And you know what? Everybody comes back and says, this is fabulous. It's, Leonardtown, I grew up here in St. Mary's County. I was born and raised. And I used to walk through Leonardtown on the weekends and there was nothing. It was like, at 5 o'clock, the carpets rolled up and everybody went home. I don't know what happened. And now we've got this thriving economy and down here in Leonardtown, and you can drive through and you can see people having fun and enjoying their outdoor seating. At the same point, I think that having the outdoor seating right in front of the restaurant, I don't want it to spread down the sidewalk. I don't want, all the streets to be taken up, all the parking spaces to be taken up with outdoor seating. I think we've come to a point where it's a good place to be. I don't know that I want all that much more, but I like where we are.
Thank you, Mary. Chris?
I agree with Mary. It helped many of the restaurants get through COVID, and now it's actually something that has created Leonardtown as the destination. I think a lot of people come to town to sit outside, to enjoy the beautiful breeze and sit outside. I do also agree that we're probably at a point to where we need to maybe relook at it and see if there's any tweaks that need to be made to it. I do think that because the restaurants are getting use of public space, that they maybe should be paying a bit for that, for the use of that public space, because it is then taking away parking, which obviously we need. So I think that's something we need to look at. Because like I said, they're getting use of free outdoor square footage. But it's great for town, so I think there's a balance to be struck, and I think we're getting close to that. Thanks.
Thank you.
Agree. I love our outdoor seating. I prefer to sit outside, actually, whenever I can. I wish it was warmer all year round. To Christy's point as well, I do see where, we are taking up additional parking spaces, especially those that could be used for handicap spaces. But I will say that we are in the process of working with some of our small businesses to help contribute potentially to that golf cart that will help to bring people from the parking areas to our restaurants, and vice versa. So I look forward to building that and working with our small businesses. But the outdoor seating, I think, has been a significant contribution to Leonardtown. So.
Thank you, Heather.
Yeah, I agree with the outside seating. I think it's great. Unfortunately, COVID was a forcing function that caused us to do that. But, that's how things happen in life sometimes, right? We didn't see that as an opportunity until COVID came. There was some restrictions or resistance, and then we pivoted. And now we see that it's a wonderful thing for the town. So I don't think we need to change it. I think the residents love it. It's causing the businesses to thrive. So I think it's posing a new problem, right, which is parking. But again, right, we need to figure that out. And I don't think we need to punish the businesses by taking that away, or new businesses that feel like that would be support to their business. I think we need to figure out, what the balance is and how to fix the parking problem. Parking problem was a problem before COVID, right? It wasn't as much of a problem. Now it's a bigger problem. So I think, the structure and the infrastructure of Leonardtown was a small town that experienced a massive growth very rapidly. So it's causing some constraints. But these are things we can work through. And I think it just takes some creative minds, relationships with some of our contractors here in the area, and I think we can fix that and still have a beautiful, charming town with businesses with outdoor seating.
Thank you, Rodney. Ken?
The outdoor seating that came about from COVID is an unwritten law. So basically what we did is we decided that this was a great idea and we were gonna give everybody at least two parking spaces out front. My understanding currently is that needed is eligible for an additional two parking spaces if they want them. All I'm saying is if it's a rule, let's make it a rule and let's put it on the books. There is nothing written in any of our laws or bylaws that talk about the outdoor seating. We need to, as a council, vote on it, determine how many spaces people get, if somebody has too many spaces, we'll take some spaces away and go from there.
Actually, can I respond to that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because it is a law.
Yeah.
We passed it, and we had a lot of discussion going back and forth, because we did have people, some businesses that wanted to take up the street, and not picking on the Rex just because we're here, but the Rex could have, taken up all the parking spaces in front of the bookstore. And so we actually came back and we made sure that you could only take spaces in front of a viable restaurant. You could not say, oh, I'm a dentist office and I don't use the space during the day, so we're gonna give you the space at night. We did write a law about it, and it's on the books. And that was probably 4 years ago.
Yes.
And if you don't mind, what is the law? So it's just out front?
Just
And so
it has to be in front of your
my apologies.
space.
My understanding is that it was just that, an unwritten rule.
No, when COVID happened, that is true. At that point, we were just trying to help anybody. And that's where we did have some issues where restaurants were in front of other spaces that weren't restaurants, because we were just trying to help everybody survive. But when we saw that happening, we came back and we said, look, this is getting to be a little out of control.
Excellent.
Just because you have friends down there doesn't mean you should be able to take all the parking spaces there. So you have to be in front of your designated space.
100% agree. Thanks for clearing that up.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Ken.
Sorry about that.
Council at work.
Didn't mean to get involved. but yes,
thank you.
yes.
So, Christie, Leonardtown is designated an arts and entertainment district. How can we better leverage the benefits that come with that designation?
I think honestly, we do a really great job at doing that now. We get the benefit of being eligible for certain grants, so businesses can get grants, the town can get grants. I know, I can't think of anything that we could do better. I mean, I think they were doing a great job implementing that and keeping it going, and allowing businesses and the community to benefit from that.
Thank you. Heather?
I'm so sorry to repeat all of the same things. I think we're already doing a fantastic job. So we have a grants coordinator on our town staff that works with Lachelle McKay to identify potential grants that we can apply for, and they really work very strongly to get those grants for us that we can add into Leonardtown, and that really helps to add to our budget every single year, and some of them are long-term grants that we're able to leverage and help to implement and create some sustainable activities within Leonardtown. So yeah, I think we're doing it.
Thank you, Heather.
Thank you. Agree, I think we are doing it, and if there was anything that I would add, it would be, communicating that more to the residents, and really, I think, taking advantage of that more, right? I mean, I love the art and the mural idea, and Ken offering up the wall of his space to paint on, but not just paint, maybe sculptures, just thinking about very creative ways we could, place art throughout the town, even more than what we've done so far, and then taking advantage of bringing the seniors. I think they would love that, just coming out and being able to walk around or get pushed around, and seeing those things, and those things have meaning. This is a very historical place, so maybe when we are doing the art, they have some historical meaning to it. It's not just random art. So I think maybe those are some things that we can do.
Thank you, Rodney. Ken?
I think we do an outstanding job with the funds the facade improvement grants, the things that all help the town look better. I happen to love the arches. I do. I love the arch going down to the wharf. I love the arch on Fenway. Our friends on social media, boy, they got brutalized that we didn't pay for a children's hospital because of the fact that we got the arch. That money was earmarked for that particular project and not paid for by the town, but paid for from a grant. We need to communicate that better. That's all that I'm saying is that I think we do a great job leveraging the money that's available from our state, from our country and stuff. Now we just need to do a better job of communicating what's available.
Thank you, Ken. Mary?
Yeah, the Arts and Entertainment District, I don't know if everybody knows, but a lot of things that happen, like on First Fridays, we have all kinds of public art activities where kids can come out and they can paint rocks and they can paint picture frames, or they can do clay crafts. There's all kinds of really great things that we could bring for the kids, for anybody. Friday nights we'll have the drum circle. I don't know if we've had that yet this season. But how cool is that to be able to sit out there in the open and, play a drum circle and hang out? That's not my deal, I'm not a drummer, but that just looks like so much fun to sit out there. With the Arts and Entertainment District though, that's a statewide designation. So that's where we should be using that, and I think we are using it, and tourism is using that to bring people into Leonardtown. That's something that somebody that's out there in DC going, gee, what am I gonna do this weekend? I know, let me go down to Leonardtown, let me see what they have. I saw it on the website, Arts and Entertainment. I can go down there, I can have some of the wonderful local food that we have, go visit the Slice House and really spend some time in Leonardtown. So that's where I think we're leveraging it, and I think that's where we can use it for tourism for sure.
Thank you, Mary. So Rodney, we're gonna kick off our next question is, how do you plan to manage growth while trying to maintain the rural character of the town?
That's a great question. So when we talk about managing growth, at least for me, it's about infrastructure first. Make sure that we have the right infrastructure in place and not growing too fast that we lose that charm, right? And so it's really about growing smartly, listening to the residents, right? I'm not gonna sit here and say I know what to bring in and where we need to put it, but I think the residents have a voice about what would work for the town, what's not working for the town, what they would like to keep, right? And then maybe some things that are not working so well. So I think we need to listen to that, but definitely infrastructure, right? Because I think if we don't have the right infrastructure, by any means of growth, it could disrupt the charm that we have here in the town. So I think that's the biggest risk of growing and not having the proper infrastructure in place.
Thank you, Rodney.
Is this right?
Yeah, it's okay. I don't know.
Mary, you messed me up.
Sorry.
I recently went to the public meeting about the new 16-unit apartment building on Washington Street. And it was interesting to see how people the people that were opposed to that didn't think that it was right for our town. 16-unit apartment building on Washington Street is not going to fit in with what we're doing. What I said to everybody that I talked to about it was, as long as they're compliant with the zoning and use regulations, there's nothing we can do. Regardless of what our opinion is of whether or not a 16-unit apartment building belongs on Washington Street, until we change the laws to say we can say no, then there's nothing to do, because all we're going to do is wind up in court and we're going to lose.
Thank you, Ken. Mary?
So if you look at our comprehensive plan that was just passed within the past couple of years, all the future growth is designated to certain areas. We're not trying to just spread out all over. We've got a goal where we're going to be pushing the future growth down towards the California area. We do want to try to keep our farms and try to keep some of our rural character here in Leonardtown. At the same point, though, I will say, is that I have a friend that has a piece of land that he's been trying to sell for a number of years. And every time he goes to sell it, people come over and they're like, oh, you can't sell it because, my children play in your field. And he's like, yeah, but I've been paying property taxes for this property for all these years. The only way I'm gonna get my money out of it or be able to retire is to sell this property. We have to give people the right to sell and develop their property that they own. That's just the way, we can't just keep saying, I'm sorry, I know you've owned this property, I know you've paid these taxes for all these years, I know this has been a burden on you, but we're not gonna let you sell it. We have to follow the rules and allow people to develop their property. But, that is where the comprehensive plan came in, and that's where we've got all the growth focused in one place, so we're not trying to spread out all over everything.
Thank you, Mary. Christine?
Thank you. Doing a lot of agreeing, but, so growth is one of those things you kind of need to balance with property rights, as Mary said. People own property, they have rights within the zoning to do whatever that zoning allows on that piece of property, whether that be a townhouse or apartment building or a warehouse. So balancing that growth with what we've done in the comp plan, so as Mary stated, concentrating growth in certain areas so that we don't have sprawl, so that the infrastructure stays, as Rodney noted. We want to make sure that the water and sewer is available for them, that the roads are there, that the intersections are safe. So that's why we want to concentrate the growth in the designated growth areas, as we've noted in the comp plan that we just had.
Thank you,
Thank
Christine.
you.
Heather?
I might disagree a little bit here. So I think we have grown really fast, and I don't think our infrastructure has kept up with our growth. So I think in some areas we are playing catch up to how quickly we have grown. Route 5 is one place that I have seen that, and I know that in our comprehensive plan, like I mentioned earlier, we've added the 2 roundabouts. I think what's important is that we work with our state and our delegation to help to bring some of these improvements for us and for our residents. We are working right now to be more strategic, to plan for our future annexation plans that we have all the way up Route 5, or actually, I guess, north on Route 5, to bring in a whole new property into our town with a big business that will help us. And really just looking for strengthening our relationships to help get ready for that growth. In terms of zoning, we just, talking about that, there's not a lot that we can always do when the zoning works with our future building plans. However, we have also noted recently amongst our council that we can strengthen our zoning laws, right? So we can add future things into our zoning rules that will help to protect our neighbors and whatnot from the future growth. So, thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Why don't you hang on to that? The question.
Oh, so I answered it already?
Well, yeah, you're kind of, some of it.
Okay.
You're kind of there, so just a couple of things to add. So Leonardtown is growing rapidly. Our infrastructure, from the traffic bottlenecks to brown water, is struggling to keep up. How do you plan to shift the town from reactive zoning to proactive management, ensuring our utilities can actually handle the expansion before new developments are approved?
I think I answered most of that, but then I can talk about our utilities. But what are you talking about with the brown water? Okay, all right. Yeah, I'm not quite sure with brown water, and if somebody has brown water, I hope that you're calling the town and letting them know. So, maybe? Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd love to know more about the brown water and where that's coming from, because that is a problem. One thing that we're already looking for, so we already did the wastewater expansion for our treatment plant there. That was a very big undertaking, and guess what? We're already having to plan for our next expansion. So we are already planning the next 10 years after 10 years out for our wastewater expansion. So pretty much everything I already answered, John, as well as already working to plan out our next expansion for our wastewater treatment. So, thank you.
Thanks, Heather. A head start. It's funny that question came in. A resident did talk to me about brown water. Go figure. So I think to answer the question, when we think about growth, I think we want to think about approving plans that includes the infrastructure needed to support the growth, right? And I think that has to come first. So instead of approving plans for the growth and the infrastructure isn't there, I think we want to think about, you know, the problems that growth could cause. So we're not proactive and making sure that we, you know, are just forward thinking and what the infrastructure needs to be before we approve those plans. I think citizens, at least, you know, from the folks that I've talked to, you know, they're concerned about the pipes. They're concerned about the water towers. You know, they're not concerned about, you know, the businesses and the increase in population. That's not the concern. The concern is traffic. The concern is groundwater, pipes and, you know, more water towers and the water that's in the water towers, is it safe to drink, and painting the water towers. I mean, I'm not just making stuff up. These are things that residents have said to me. So I just think, you know, above all, infrastructure that, you know, citizens believe in, that the residents believe in, is going to make their lives a lot easier and not hinder the quality of life in the town, is something we need to take into consideration, and making sure that we have plans that you know, support specifically those things.
Thank you, Rodney. Ken?
These problems are real, and these problems are now. And to be quite honest with you, I always hear about, there's two different things. There's things that we can do, and then there's the state highway department and stuff. If you've ever tried to get out of Leonardtown at 3 o'clock, don't do it. If you've ever tried to make a left out of Lawrence, don't do it. I mean, it's dangerous. So to be quite honest with you, at this time, I don't know what the answer is, but clearly it's not going to get any better unless we do something.
Thank you, Ken. Mary?
I've learned a lot being on the council for the past 8 years. You know, a lot of this isn't, if you go in with these great ideas, hey, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna fix the traffic problem right here on Route 5. Well, guess what? That's not anything that we have control over. That's state highway. You know, we've been trying for 6 years, I think, to get a traffic light there in front of Singletree. You know, and state highway came down and they did their survey, because everything's a government agency, right? And so it's the speed of government. I'm a tax office, trust me, I know. Things do not move quickly when it comes to the government. So we finally get somebody to come down here and actually determine whether we need a traffic light over there by Singletree, and what happens? It's COVID. And they look at us and they're like, there's no cars on the road, what's your problem? Well, all right, okay, you know, it wasn't our fault. So, you know, now they come back 5 years later, there's like, oh, there is traffic. Oh, okay, now we'll talk about giving you a light. So it's not always something that we can move super fast. I mean, I will tell you, traffic is a problem everywhere in St. Mary's County. Gosh, try to go to Lowe's anytime on like a Tuesday afternoon, you can't get anywhere down Route 235. So, you know, I think we do the most we can. We do try to plan in advance. But there is a lot of times that our hands are kind of tied, because we can't oversee, we can't just overshoot state highway. We can't just overshoot planning and zoning. We can't just, you know, say, oh, I know this is what Baltimore has decided that, you know, we're gonna do, but we're gonna do something different. We can't always do that. So we're doing the best we can to kind of look at the comprehensive plan. I think is really helpful to see where we need to go.
Thanks, Mary. Christy?
Thank you. So growth and infrastructure kind of go hand in hand. You need the infrastructure for the growth to occur. And in my opinion, the growth should pay for the infrastructure. So meaning the existing homes aren't paying for the new water tower to serve the new community, that the new community is paying for the new community. And that's how we've structured the water tower that just went up, down at Meadows Run, that's right. So that the growth is paying for the growth. It's not a build it and they will come situation. We don't want to spend money, town taxpayers' money, to build roads to nowhere and hope that people build homes. It's not good use of the taxpayer money. We want the developers to pay for what they need. As Rodney noted, it should be part of their plan. Any intersections that need upgraded, any water towers that need to go in, treatment plant capacity, that's all built into what they pay in their impact fees that we have in town. and how we've structured our taxes and rates and fees.
Great. Thank you, Christy. So we'll start with you on this one. Residents and commercial property owners alike are currently charged a sewage fee for every gallon of water consumed, even for exterior use like landscaping that never enters the sewer system. Would you support implementing a secondary metering system to end this unfair financial burden?
So secondary meters can get tricky. It's costly for the homeowner to install a second meter. They have to pay to have a plumber come out, put that meter in. And typically, if you look at the rates, the cost to put that in versus what you're paying for the sewer side of it doesn't typically balance out. But if someone wanted to do that, I would have no problem with supporting having a sub-meter on the irrigation side of use. Or even capping water use at, an average amount based on a house. That way, any extra that goes over what the average use would be, would go towards your sewer bill. It would only be paid for through the water meter. It's really difficult to meter sewer, so that's not really a possibility. But I would 100% support irrigation meters. I believe commercial probably does that now. And on the homeowner side, if that's something that the homeowner wishes to do and they use a lot of irrigation water, I would totally support that.
Thank you, Christy. Well, we're going to the left.
Anyway.
First of all, Christy is like our genius on the town council for all of this subject. So, agree with Christy, but another thing that we just passed in Leonardtown and used some of our tax dollars for are putting new meters on homes as well. So these meters are going to be way more efficient for our staff. We'll be able to operate them and save a lot of money, a lot of tax dollars spent for reading our water usage. So, and we'll be able to identify when a home is possibly using too much water or a business is using too much water. So, I have a faucet that doesn't turn off all the way sometimes, and it's drip, drip, drip. And I also have 4 children who, don't always know how to turn off a faucet. So those are things that we're going to be able to identify and work ahead of. And so it's going to be really important for dollars for our businesses and our homeowners, as well as for sustainability. So.
Thank you. Rodney?
I agree. I think, I know that the new sewer meters are coming on the homes. I know that was recently planned. I think that's a great idea. And I also agree that, maybe it's worth averaging the amount of water that goes in a sewer for the residents. Because I know some people, they spend a lot of water, watering their grass and things like that. And just to make it fair, right? So if citizens are complaining about this, I think this is something that we can do just to be fair, so folks are being charged properly for the water that they use.
Thank you, Rodney. Ken?
I don't know enough about the topic and would need to do more research in order to talk intelligently about it.
Mary?
Yeah, like we did just put in the new system, and you are gonna be able to access your water bills online. Anybody can actually go and look at it. So, maybe in the future we'll be able to see what's actually happening, because we're gonna have better tracking than we have. But here's what I would say, just listening to this question and the question before about the brown water. You guys, you have to communicate with the town. I tell people all the time, I sit down, I go, do you have any questions, do you have any problems? If you guys don't tell me that you have a concern, then how do I know to address it? If this is the first time sitting here at this table that I'm hearing about brown water or unfair watering systems, that's not the place it should be. This is something that we should be communicating. I think all of us on the council have been very open. We're out there in the community, we're talking, I'm out there walking my dogs, stop me. I've had people, they'll stop me on the side of the road and ask me a question. And I'll say, look, I don't know the answer, but I'll get back to you. So if you have these concerns, bring them up to us, and we're happy to answer, and we're happy to address them. But if I don't know that it's broken, I can't fix it.
Thank you, Mary. So, we're getting close to time, but we have one last question that we're gonna, two last questions.
That's it.
So this one, we're gonna start with Rodney. And the question is, The Leonardtown Wharf is a crown jewel for our local economy, but many residents and business owners have raised concerns about illicit activity and safety after dark. What proactive strategies will you champion to secure our public commercial spaces without hurting tourism?
I think some of those things we've already talked about within the parking lot. Hopefully there's some lighting, that additional lighting that goes in at the Leonardtown Wharf. Again, I bring up the Innovation District and USMSM because I know they're working with drones and things like that to fight wars, and maybe drones are something that we can use to fight crime. So maybe more surveillance and not just cameras, but maybe, tapping into some of the latest technology that's out there to increase surveillance. Thinking about things that we can do to deter that type of activity where people are not hanging around, or have people sitting in cars at night in the dark at the wharf. So I think those are some proactive things we can do. We can have more patrol down at the wharf. I know I live down at the wharf, so there used to be a patrol car that would sit down there, and I could count on him to be down there at 9 o'clock every single day. But that's not happening anymore. I'm not sure why, but that's something we can probably start back up to make sure that there's just police presence in the area again to deter that type of activity. And it's very dark down there, so I just want to harp on the lighting. I think if there was more lighting in the parking lot area, I think that would deter any type of legal activity going on down there.
Thank you, Rodney. Ken?
This is a problem that we can solve tomorrow. Close the wharf to vehicular traffic from dawn to dusk. Every national park, every park in any county closes their wharf or their park dawn to dusk. So that means that the residents that are down there can still walk their dogs. I'm not saying to close it down, I'm saying close it to vehicular traffic. It can be done tomorrow.
Thank you, Ken. Mary?
So again, part of my budget request this year was to put more lights down at the wharf, and I said I wanted more, like even string lights just around the trees, because you want to keep the ambiance of the wharf. It's so beautiful down there, and so many times when I come down, people are sitting on the benches, and they're really getting to enjoy the waterfront of St. Mary's County and Leonardtown. But it is dark. It is really dark sometimes. And so I thought, string lights in the trees, at least that would be enough to start kind of giving it a glow so that people could see and be safe. And we have cameras down there as well. So, we are watching. If something happens, we are watching. But that's interesting, closing the park. I think that's an interesting idea. Maybe something we'll have to look at.
And one more thing is a lot of the reckless driving is the people that are down there partying that are leaving at night and flying up the
Yeah,
street.
that is true. That hill is scary, those people. Yep, agreed.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you. I agree. I think once we get the parking and the new lighting, that'll help a lot with that. People just kind of sit down there and hang out, which is fine as long as they're not doing anything bad. And I also think with our plans that we have in place, the more activity we start seeing down there. So once the ice house gets down there, once the carousel gets down there, once we can implement some more of the wharf plan that we have, once there's some more activity going on down there, I think that'll deter people from finding it as a place to kind of hide. It'll be more open to people doing stuff and seeing and keeping that kind of away, because they're not going to want to do that for their families and all sorts of stuff. And then as Mary said, we do have cameras down there, so keep an eye on that with the new boat slips and everything. I think that'll help with all that as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agree. I know that a few years ago, Jay in his budget request added better cameras for us, and we've been able to utilize some of the footage from there for some unfortunate incidents in the recent months. We also have a town deputy that we can request to go down more often. If we know that there's a problem, we can have him do more patrols down there I think it was Rodney that said that they used to sit, or Ken, every night at 9 o'clock you could count on them being down there. So the good thing is that we have that town deputy that we can leverage. I know that a couple of years ago, I saw a homeless person, and I think Rodney mentioned problems with homeless people needing shelter at our wharf. So that's something that's very near and dear to me, and to help our homeless. So I have worked in the past with my friend who runs Warm and also works for Three Oaks and is on the board there. So whenever there is a problem or we see somebody who needs that assistance, just really working with our nonprofits to make sure that they get those resources that they desperately need. So, but to Mary's point earlier, we have to see it and we have to know about it. So luckily I was able to see it, so I was able to take care of it, but that is something that we have to work on.
Thank you, Heather. Last question, and we don't mean to step on anybody's closing comments, but the question is, Ken, what is your vision for Leonardtown?
Is this my closing statement?
No?
Oh, it's just, what is my vision for
That's the
Leonardtown?
question, that's, we don't want to step on your closing statement, but that's the question that was posed.
My vision, my personal vision for Leonardtown is address the low-hanging fruit. I talked about this 2 years ago when I ran for mayor. There's so many great things that are going on in our town. I just think that we need to work on the last few beautification things and maintain the last few beautification things that I think, I use the word cute, that would make the town, which I think is a great looking town, just one step further in terms of being cute and clean. That's all.
Thank you, Ken. Mary?
When I ran 8 years ago, I ran under the first time, trying to make Leonardtown a friendlier place for the kids. I said, I live here in Leonardtown, I've got 3 young kids, and I pack them up and we go somewhere else because there's nothing fun to do in Leonardtown. It's not really safe, it's not really walkable. And I think we've done a lot of that over the past 8 years. I look at the wharf, I go down there, and I love to be at the wharf and see the people come down. I see people playing ping pong, I see people, on the playground, I see they're playing chess, they're hanging out, on the benches. And I love the direction that Leonardtown's going, and the fact that, like I said, people want to come here now. It has become a destination. And, I've lived here for 20 years in town. My husband and I, we've got a house right down there, almost by the wharf, down here in Tudor Hall Estates. And I want to keep it that way. I want to keep it safe. I want to keep it local. I want it to be a nice place for, hopefully someday I'll have grandkids that'll come back and they'll visit, and keep Leonardtown a nice place to be. So that's where I'm looking at, keeping it that small town feel that I enjoy, but now giving the kids, now that the kids have something to do, now that it's a little safer. I feel like we're trying to make the streets safer and walkable community. And if anybody of you guys have dogs, when I see dogs, I know all the dogs' names. I don't know any of the dogs' owners. I'm like, oh, look, you're Fluffy's mommy, and that's what, walking around Leonardtown, any day, there's probably 10, 15 people that are walking their dogs. They come in from other places to walk. That is beautiful. That is exactly what we want, a walkable, safe community here in Leonardtown.
As long as they clean up after the dog.
I didn't put stations. If you remember that, I did not put that in my speech because I thought that was such a weird thing. But yes, that was me. That was great.
Thanks, Mary.
This
Christie?
lady, yes.
So I was born in Leonardtown, I grew up in Leonardtown, I love it here. My vision would be that my son raises his family here. I think it's an awesome town, keeping it family friendly, small, so everybody, everybody's dogs.
Yep.
That's my vision, is just to keep it local, keep it little, but sustainable. We need to be able to keep it up and keep the infrastructure going and making sure we have clean, safe water, people are safe, and that the infrastructure keeps up with all that. So that's what I hope for him.
Thank you, Christie. Heather?
I grew up in Calvert, which was a very small town, very kind of compared to here in St. Mary's, and I've lived here, since 2005. So when I would work up in McLean at SEIC, I noticed that people would walk right by you and they wouldn't even say hello, and I thought that was so weird. So I would love to keep that here. I think that we have that in our community where everybody is friendly and everybody smiles and they wave and they're kind to one another. So really kind of keeping that small town feel is important to me. I also look forward to kind of growing more of our recreation. I know Christine and I have talked about and presented plans for, folks to have workout stations on some of our future walking paths. I'm really excited about that. Creating more play space and areas for our children and our grandchildren, hopefully in our future. So thanks, Mary. Bye-bye. Another thing that I would love to see is really making Leonardtown more sustainable. So being better stewards of our environment, I would love to see us clean up our wharf a little bit more, Breton Bay. I know that we're only so limited, it's a lot of water pumping in, but where can we make a better impact with our environment? That's important to me. So that's what I look forward to in the future for Leonardtown.
Thank you. And we'll finish up with Rodney.
Well, my vision hasn't changed. It's structure, safety, and sovereignty. So, that includes a lot that has already been said. What I would like to see different is just a multicultural town, right? I think there's opportunity, especially if we're an arts and entertainment district, to include more cultural types of things, to make this a place that, represents all types of people, right? There's a lot of different, diverse people here. And I think we can do a better job of making it comfortable for everyone, presenting things that represent multiple cultures instead of just one culture. I think we can do more with our bird sanctuary. I was talking to my fiance about that this morning. She was asking me, can we walk through the bird sanctuary? I'm like, no, you can canoe through it, but you can't walk through it, not yet anyway. And so I think, that's some opportunity for us to take advantage of the wildlife here in Leonardtown, take advantage of the waterfront here at Leonardtown. And I know there's plans. But I've been here 20 years, and one of the reasons I moved to Leonardtown was because of those plans. And some of those plans have come through, and some have not. And I'm very gracious for the ones that have come through, and I'm very disappointed for the ones that haven't, right? Because once those plans happen, this is a great town, but it's going to be even better. And so I'm just anticipating that, and I think I'm not alone in that anticipation. So my vision is for us to bring these visions forward, just accelerate those things, because I think the citizens would enjoy that. I think we're all waiting to be a part of that.
Thank you, Ron. We're gonna wrap up this evening with the closing comments. And Rodney, we're gonna start with you. So we're gonna give all of the candidates an opportunity just to make their final statements.
Okay. Again, wonderful opportunity here. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a politician looking for a political career. I didn't come from a political family. But I'm here to represent Leonardtown, all the people in Leonardtown, and to bring a diverse, innovative perspective to the town. I think the town council has done a great job. There's great people on the council. Unfortunately, only so many can be voted on. But I think part of my vision is that we have a council that represents everyone that lives in the town as much as possible, right? And so I'm hoping I can be that guy for the town, right? So I'm here to serve. That is my number one focus. It's always has been about service throughout my entire career, with 25 years in the Navy. And I love this town, and I would love to serve this town as a council.
Thank you, Rodney. Ken?
I hope the way that we run the Slice House proves that we're a part of this community, that we're not just a place to eat. We are a gathering destination. We support fundraisers and things like that. And I think a lot of the success of the Slice House is because of myself and my wife and my son, and because we care. And I would take that same attitude as a council person. I'm a good listener. I'm also a great doer, and that's one of the things that I would think I would bring to the council. I also have, in my past life, I was a great fundraiser in high school and stuff, and I've got a great idea to raise tons and tons of money for our town. We have the beautiful pavers everywhere. Those are all memory stones. Every one of those pavers has a dollar value on them, and you can get somebody to etch them or whatever, memory stones, and we can do that all over the place. And last but not least, whether I'm elected or whether I'm not elected, can we please get rid of the 8 blue trash cans down at the wharf that are broken and replace them with a decent dumpster? That's all.
Thank you, Ken. Mary?
First, I want to thank the LBA for hosting this, and it's long, I'm tired, but it's been a good night, so I appreciate you guys doing that. And I want to thank all the candidates, because you know what, no matter what, and thank God this is only a 2-week campaign, because I know how hard it is for 2 weeks to be out there running, and I think of the people that are running to vote for election in November. That's a long time, So anybody, I say anybody that decides to put their foot in to run for office, you know, kudos to you guys, because it stinks. It's a lot of work, and you know, a lot of eyes on you. You know, I was born and raised here in St. Mary's County. I grew up in St. Mary's City, and Leonardtown was a foreign country when I lived there. You know, we did not go to Leonardtown. You went for 2 things. You went for the hospital or for the jail. Neither was a good thing, right? And now, living when my husband and I moved to Leonardtown 20 years ago, we just love it. I just love it. Every now and then Dan's like, oh, I think we should go move somewhere else. I'm like, I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving Leonardtown. I love the fact that I'm 5 minutes from a grocery store, and I love the community. You know, I grew up in the country. We didn't have neighbors. And so, you know, to have this community here, I love it. I want to continue to see the growth. I think we've done so much in the past 8 years, and I think we can continue to do that. So that's what I hope for. So don't be swayed, vote for Slade.
Thank you, Mary.
That's what I got. That's what I got.
I want to thank the community for all the support in the last 8 years. As Mary notes, it's not just us. It's an effort from us, our families, you know, the community itself. It's been great serving everybody for the last 8 years. And I agree. I think if you guys have a hard decision to make, and I think we'll be good if it's me or if it's someone else or if it's any of us, or can't go wrong. So I look forward to hopefully serving the town in another 4 years. If you're happy, and like as everyone else, I mean, I think we all love town. We all want to see town do well, and I think we're in a good spot. So excited to see where we end up. Thanks.
Thank you, Christy. Heather?
Lastly, also, thank you, LBA. I know that you all do so much behind the scenes that people do not see, and I'm so incredibly grateful for all the work that you do in our town. So thank you for coordinating and organizing this, even on my 50th birthday. I know Todd is standing back there ready to take me to dinner with my family. So it has been my honor and my privilege, to serve on this town council. It's something that I really wanted to do since I was on planning and zoning and worked really hard towards this goal. So I've learned so much. I continue to learn. I continue to push myself and to always try to help our community and just make us stronger. So I hope that you all, I know that you guys do have a very tough decision to make next week, 1 week away. But I do hope that you consider keeping us on as a town council. So thank you. Tough choices. Happy birthday.
All right, thank you everybody for joining us tonight. Friendly reminder, elections are next Tuesday, May 5th, from 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Town Hall is where you can go in and vote. So again, thank you guys for joining us tonight. Thanks to the candidates for coming up and spending the evening with us and answering some tough questions. So we appreciate that. I hope you guys have a good evening and a safe ride home.